Welcome to Lack of Focus, an X-Wing miniatures game podcast, brought to you by Dice 8 Productions. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Lack of Focus, episode 16. Now there are two of them. I am your host, Ed Horn, and alongside me tonight, on camera tonight, one Mr. Sean Dorsey. Sean, how's it going, my friend?
It's going good, guys. How you guys doing?
Good, good. And, of course, our producer extraordinaire, one Mr. Kris Sheriff. Kris, how's it going, my friend?
Good, thanks, Ed.
So Chad is not going to be able to join us tonight. He is not feeling very well tonight, and he's going to skip out. So there'll be less insults on my part, I hope, this evening. So in any case, obviously we're into the new year. We've got a whole bunch of articles we're going to be covering. We saw quite a bit of stuff from the Separatists. We kind of have some dates that were announced. We're going to kind of briefly cover over that. So that's going to be a lot of the news. And in the main topic, of course, Sean missed out on our points guessing game. So we're going to play some of that. And then we're going to answer some questions on firing arcs. Because it seems to be a little bit nebulous area in the rules. And we wanted to clear some of those up. So all of that and a lot more is going to be coming up right after this.
All wings report in.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by. Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
All right, we're back, and in the flight deck, we're going to cover over any events we might have been doing, squads we're flying, ideas we've got for lists. So I know there's a few tournaments going out there that have been played. So, Sean, I'm going to start with you because I have no idea what you've been doing lately. So what have you been flying lately, my friend?
The three fire sprays. That's where
Still
I'm at right now. I'm locked into that right now, just trying to do it. I got 3 games in 2.5 weeks ago with my son. I didn't fly well in 2 of the games. I couldn't, for some reason, I couldn't figure it out. But the third game, I pretty much blew him off the board. So he was flying a Vader list. I don't exactly remember what was all in it. But I do know this: Vader is brutal. When Vader gets going, Vader is brutal, and
that he can be.
I'll tell you this much: if fire sprays are actionless, they're tough to play because you got to have rerolls and you got to have the focus, you got to have the target locks, and you got to have the rerolls. So I like it. There's just a lot of firepower with them. I like the fact that I can fly past something, make a mistake, and still have a chance to do some damage. So
they're a little tanky too, so that doesn't hurt that they can take a little bit of beating.
It's 30 health on the board, so it's 30 health with two ingrained, 2 ingrained defense dice. So it's pretty good. I like the list. When I start playing again in tournaments, which will be pretty soon, there's a few of them in Omaha. I will be playing that list and don't really care how I finish, just going to have fun with it. Can't wait for the 2.0 game to start and get rid of this extended crap.
All right, so Kris, I know you've attended a tournament.
Yeah, I did. It was yesterday, so it would have been on the next show had we recorded on time. But yeah, it was not fun or interesting. It was awesome. I came third, so I played the triple upsilon list that I've been abusing people. I was abusing Chris Brown because he was running it. He posted like pictures of a mirror match or something. And I was giving him a hell of a lot of shit for flying it. And I was like, no, I should probably put it on the table before I judge people too harshly, because it was like, oh, it's interesting. There's lots of decisions. And I just didn't enjoy it at all. I like the maneuvers and the repositioning and that side of X-Wing. So now that near enough every ship has some, it feels bad to fly 3 upsilons that just don't. But it's very much like what Sean was talking about, where it's 36 hit points. It doesn't have the 2 firing arcs, but whatever is in your firing arc dies because it throws out
15 attack dice.
Well, 15 attack dice if you can get one ship at range 1.
Jeez.
I won the first game I played with it against Fenro, Old Terok, and 2 Mining Guild ties. The second game I played was against 3 FOs and an Upsilon with Captain Cardinal, which was a pretty interesting list. I lost that one. Because I was like, this is a stupid list and like easy and it doesn't take any thought at all. I didn't put any thought into it. So I absolutely messed up deployment and my opening engagement. The way it works, I suppose I should actually go over the list that I ran.
I was getting ready to wait for a moment to be like, so what exactly did you fly? Were they naked, or how does it work out?
It's a Lieutenant Dormitz, which is the Initiative 2, who lets you, after he's deployed, you can deploy up to range 2 of him, ignoring the normal restrictions. So you can deploy in the V outwards. And,
that's awesome.
And then you have 2 Starkiller base pilots who are also Initiative 2. They all have hyperspace tracking data, which is during deployment, say a number between 0 and 6, and that's the initiative they deploy at. So we all deploy at initiative 6, and then once they're deployed, you get to give every ship within range 2 of you, or every ship at range 2 of you, you get to give it either a focus or an evade token. So all 3 of them have it. So you get 2 evades and a focus for the opening exchange. Yeah, it's good.
I totally never saw that when I looked at those.
And then all 3 of them have got pattern analyzer, so that when they complete a red maneuver, they can perform an action before the check stress step, so they can stop and still coordinate and do it. It's good. Yeah, and basically in the opening exchange, if they deploy a ship on the board edge and stop, you can still shoot them with a target locked focused 4-dice primary attack, and then have reinforce and 2 evades for a range 3 shot pack.
Oh, that's dumb.
So yeah,
that is dumb.
But it is what it is. So the game that I lost, I just put my ships down and just threw tokens at them. And then it was like, no, I needed to take focus, evade, because he's got an Upsilon. So if I just plow at him and roll badly, I can actually take more damage than I want to. And the bank that I wanted to do to make sure I could get my shot in was going to clip a rock, so I said, I don't really want to do that. So I ended up, I slow rolled, which doesn't give you the shot, because he was obviously stopping and wanting to not engage in that turn when I've got double stacked evades on every ship. So I wasted that advantage, and then we jammed each other up and traded dice and stuff, and I left his Upsilon, Captain Cardinal's Initiative 4, on 1 hit point. So he got an extra turn of him shooting, which killed one of my Upsilons. So it was then 2 Upsilons against 3 FOs. And I just couldn't kill them quick enough. He'd get around behind me. And Lawrence flew them really, really well. And actually, he was the winner of the event with that list. So it was pretty interesting. Captain Cardinal, Hux, and Phasma as the crew, and then 3 FOs with Fanatical and the what's the offensive tech sort one? I'm gonna have to check now. Yeah, the one that lets you change a blank to a hit with a focus result. I forgot what it's called. Advanced Optics.
Thank you. I was gonna say I just looked at that card.
Yeah. So the thing, I was like, this is going to be fine. It's not going to do that much damage. I'm going to be reinforced, so the ties will do like 1 damage a turn if they're lucky, and 1 damage each a turn if they're lucky. But with Hux and Cardinal letting you reroll the focuses, it was getting two hits and or 3 hits at range 1, and I'm like, oh crap, this is actually doing more.
This is starting to become a problem.
Yeah. And then, so the last game, I was like, okay, I need to actually put thought into it and play this list properly to see what it's like. And if you do all the right things at the start, it's a lot harder for your opponent to play against. But I feel like it either wins or loses in the list building phase for the majority of the time. There's different things you can do. To me, it feels a lot like 40 LTs, that it's just put it on the table, it'll do what it'll do, and people will either be able to figure it out or not. And I've had people like say that it's completely different to that because of reasons, and it's more about how it makes me feel. I don't feel like it's... There probably are lots of different things you can do and stuff, but I just don't see it, and that's not how my X-Wing brain works. So
it's more like point and click. Like, point yourself towards a ship, make it go away. Point yourself towards a ship, make it go away.
So in that last game, turn 1, I erased a U-Wing. I erased Benfrick 2 tubes. It was Lando, a U-Wing, and an X-Wing. And I erased a U-Wing in one round of shooting, just dead, because I've got target lock focus. I was in range 1 of him because I'm a large base ship who deploys at range 2 of the table. I deploy within range 3 of the table edge instead of range 2 effectively. Because if you think that Dormitz is going to be at the range 1 line, and you can deploy at range 2 of him, so as long as the back edge of your base is touching range 3 of the table edge, that's a legal deployment.
Oh my god.
And then I get to move. So yeah, so you dial in the 3 bank. So you set up just offset someone, because you're deploying after them, because I've got a 7-point bid. So I'm deploying last. You set up, and it's like, yeah, okay, what do I want to delete first? Move in. It's target lock focus, 5 dice shot, and that ship is reinforced with 2 evade tokens as well. And then it's just like, and so I rolled 9 dice at him and just blew him off the table. And then I don't even think I needed Dormitz's shot. So fun times. Sad.
Jeez.
The next, and then you've got a wall of Upsilon. So this X-Wing it's like a Blue Squadron escort, and he was like, okay. So instead of being, you start off in the V, so Dormitz at the back, and then 2 of them just offset.
Left, right in a V formation.
Yeah, then I made it into a line of Upsilons diagonally across the table. And this
One
X-Wing,
bank, 2 bank, 3 bank.
yeah, and this X-Wing is like, okay, so if I go right, I'm at range 1 of an Upsilon. If I go left, I'm at range 1 of an Upsilon. And he chose to not bump me, which was a mistake. Like, I think you just do 4 straight and try and bump, but he didn't.
At least that's 1 less shooting.
Yeah, so he got taken to 1 hit point. And then I just ignored him. I ignored the X-Wing and chased Lando until Lando was dead. And he got half points on 1 of them. And so it's a good list. It is not. So it's not fun for either player.
Walk me through the token stacking that's going on here. So the first one moves.
So before you do any actions, after deployment, hyperspace tracking reads that you can assign a ship assign each ship within range 0 to 2, either a focus or evade token. So Dormitz's hyperspace tracking data gives him either a focus or an evade, and everyone within range 2 of him a focus or an evade.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second Starkiller base's hyperspace tracking gives itself and everyone and then the other one gives everyone. So it's only turn 1 that you get those tokens. But luckily, you're fighting people in turn 1, so good.
So good, because you intend to be in range and firing on range 1 and your token stacked like that.
Basically, the way you do it is Starkiller base Pallet 1 moves and takes a target lock. So he's target lock focused, double evade. Starkiller Base 2 moves, target locks, and he's target lock focused on evade, and then Dormitz moves up and is sat at range 3 of stuff at closest or maybe out of range. So he coordinates, and you put that onto the one that's closest, who's most likely to get shot. Or if they target locked one of them with torpedoes, you coordinate that one, and that one reinforces.
So it's got a focus, 2 evades, a target lock, and a reinforced token.
Yeah.
Holy cow! Because I was having a hard time following. Like how are all those tokens getting passed around those 3 ships? It's like that's insane.
It's fun and engaging.
I could tell from the tone of your voice.
I didn't. The best game I had was the game I lost because I had to try and fly these 2 shitty Starkiller Base pilots around and catch 2 first order TIE fighters when one of my Starkiller Bases had all its turns a red crit. So I was like, and I was trying to break them apart, and I couldn't break them apart quick enough to get angles on him. So that was probably my most engaging and enjoyable game because it felt challenging. The other ones were like, if I keep dialing my move, so Fenro and Old Terok didn't beat me. They were behind me for the entirety of the game, but they had to keep running because one of my ships could shoot them, and one of my ships can explode them if they roll badly.
Yes.
So he's having to reposition, taking suboptimal shots, and as soon as one of those aces disengages, okay, well, I'm reinforced and focused because the one you're not shooting coordinated. So what are you going to do? Oh, okay, I take a shield off. 11 more hits to go. And I only won by 7 points, but I only needed to win by 7 points. Oh, fun. I actually played Real X-Wing as well.
That is cool. Yeah. That is always fun.
So I played, so that was a tournament, came third, awesome, I'm so good, definitely not just abusing people, not understanding I was going to remove one of their ships in the first turn.
The very first opening exchange, something is going to go away.
Yeah. I played a Supernatural Kylo game, and that was on Friday after streaming. So I streamed X-Wing for 4 hours, and I was okay, I'm going to play some X-Wing now. And then I decided to play Supernatural Kylo, which was stupid because I wanted to play X-Wing. So every time I was like, okay, I need to disengage Kylo now and just not get shot, and then I win. Or I could just Joyce Fenrir this turn.
Yeah. No.
So I'd do it, and then I took 2 damage. I don't need to do this. This is stupid. So I'll next turn, I can just disengage this turn and with Supernatural, and he can't catch me. Or I could just Jace this TIE fighter. It's okay. And I was just like, every turn, I'd just joust something different with Kylo. Because it's like 1 a.m. I've been watching X-Wing all evening and commentating, and I just want to play a game. So,
I actually want to roll dice and not play just evasive gaming all game.
Yeah. So that was fun. It was just stupid. And then the other game I played was in the league. That was a league game, but obviously I lost. So that was really stupid. I should have not played that way, started with someone else. And then I played a game where I let him pick whatever list he wanted that I'd brought with me. And he wanted to fly against Redline and Whisper and fell. Because he was like, I want to see what Redline does. So I showed him.
So show him exactly what it does and how quickly it does it.
So I've played a decent amount of X-Wing, but I don't really feel like I've played any X-Wing that was, just fun and enjoyable. It was all feel bads, man, X-Wing.
I moved stuff around, stuff died, but it wasn't really enjoyable.
Yeah. So I've got a Wedge Luke and U-Wing listed I'm going to probably try and take out. Or I've been chatting to one of my friends. I've been playing Resistance with Nian Num, Elalasti, and then the 2 Initiative 5 A-Wings, which seems pretty interesting, or 4 Initiative 5 pilots. So I might try that as well.
See how that does.
Yeah.
I actually have games I played. I went to a game store and played X-Wing this week. It actually happened. So I myself I picked up my while I was at the store, I was picking up my first order stuff. So I couldn't actually get to play the list I wanted to play. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to grab something. I've been playing Supernatural Vader. Wanted to see what Pure Sabacc looked like because I knew I wasn't going to be playing Chad first off. And then I just threw in 3 Academy TIE Fighters. So it was a 5-ship build. The first game I played against was Chad's son, Logan. He was running proton torpedoes out the ass. He was running Wedge with proton torpedoes, Thane with proton torpedoes, and Dutch. So Dutch can go around and he's got the R2 astromech that allows him to take an extra target lock as well. So he's throwing around target locks to everyone. So now that was probably the better of the 2 games that I played. Basically what ended up happening, I ran Vader down the one side. The whole reason the TIE fighters are there in the first place are just to be to get in the way. If I get damaged with them, great. Pure Sabacc and Vader are really going to be the heavy hitters. They're just kind of there to get in the way. So I managed to drive him into the rocks. I ended up getting shields off of Wedge in the opening exchange and shields off of Thane in the opening exchange. So in the next turn, I knew that Thane and Wedge were going to turn into Vader. And I'm like, okay, well, if I do a 1 bank here, I should be able to get Thane in my firing arc, range 1, target lock focus, blow him off the board. I'll take 1 torpedo from Wedge and be okay with it. And then Pure Sabacc's going to clean him up because he's down to 2 hull. Except I didn't get Thane in arc. And then I ate 2 torpedoes. Vader goes away and the game goes downhill from there. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I did end up dropping Thane eventually, and then of course, Dutch, I'd sent a TIE fighter to chase after him, but he was just ioning that thing off the board, and it was kind of a bit of a mess. I then played Chad. It's unfortunate he's not here because he'd love to grind it into me, how he just continuously keeps crushing me. Completely misplayed that game. I made a move that I thought was going to get Pure Sabacc out of the fight because I was trying to be more strategic about it and try to keep him on the edges and not necessarily in combat. He ended up being within range 3 of his Vader, and Vader just blew him off the board. I was rolling blanks. Every time I picked up green dice, I never saw paint. Didn't matter what I did, just pick up green. And I'm sitting there switching dice out. I was really getting frustrated because every time I touched green dice, blanks. Didn't matter which dice I was using. So yeah, so I had it was a range 3 shot through a rock. I had 4 ice, nothing, not a thing, and boom, it died. It's just awful. So Chad did end up beating me in that game, and then of course I picked up all my first order stuff and ran home. And yesterday actually, I sat down and put everything together, got all the dials together. So I've got a Supernatural Kylo list that I'm going to be looking for myself. I am kind of curious to see how you're dressing your Kylo and what you're flying with him.
My list that I flew then was Kylo, Pattern Analyzer, Supernatural Reflexes, Quick Draw with Fanatical and Special Forces Gunner, and then an Epsilon Squadron Pilot just for an Initiative 1 ship. So it was a 3-ship list rather than a 2-ship list with a 38-point bid, or whatever it would have been.
38-point bid?
Yeah, I think I had a 10-point bid. And yeah.
So the one that I'm running, I'm dressing Kylo with prime thrusters and supernatural reflexes. I'm also running quick draw. Quick draw for mine has juke and special forces gunner and fire control systems. And then I'm running null.
Yeah, that's one that I've tried that as well. That's really, really good. Are you taking an EPT on null?
Squad leader, so that I can coordinate with.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that
yeah. No, I know.
So you can make it worse.
So, you didn't bring an Initiative 6 pilot to Initiative pilot, did you? Because that would suck for me, unless I could boost barrel roll at Initiative 7. Oh.
Right. So yeah.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
So I'm curious to see how it works out. It is going to, of course, require me to actually learn how to fly and be able to try to get Null in there to be able to have Kylo to get in there. But it's really interesting.
I would say play the shit out of that list before January 28th.
Before they points adjust everything. Well, I'll try to give it a shot and see how it goes and see how much the points adjustments screw me up. So that's all I did. I gotta say, I got a couple of games and I was trying to get Chad to come over, but I guess because of his health reasons is the reason why he never responded to me, which is probably why he didn't come down. I know Chad participated in our store championship-ish. They had a little event there, but of course we had the expectation for like 8 to 10 inches of snow. And only 5 people showed up for that reason. Oh. So I know he did well. I don't want to spoil it. I wanted him to be able to say how well he did, but we only ended up with like a dusting here and a little bit of ice.
Yeah, well, it was a tournament I played in yesterday was 7 people. So instead of running it, I clocked out and actually played. So that's why I was playing X-Wing all day yesterday, and then I had a game of A Song of Ice and Fire as well. So I've been playing a lot of that. It's really good, especially now that Rune Wars is dead. I'll play that instead.
Well, that's kind of an interesting segue because we can get into the news on that one. Do you want to cover that real quick? I mean, granted, it's not X-Wing, but it is FFG news.
Yeah, so they announced that there's no more organized play for Rune Wars anymore, which, if you look at previous games where they announced that they cancelled organized play, there's Call of Cthulhu, the card game. It's dead, by the way. There was no more organised play for the Star Wars LCG. That's a dead game now, by the way. All of those Games Workshop licensed games, they announced they were stopping organised play for that. They're dead games now. So yeah, they've not announced that the game's dead because stores still have stuff on the shelves, and that would be like unethical. But Rune Wars is dead. If you can't. People are adding 2 and 2 and coming out with 1700, and they'll still do new armies. And no, you've not seen FFG's model of we sell stuff because we do OP.
Right. Exactly. That's
it's
a shame because it was. I remember that being a really big game for a while. It was a big seller for them, so I'm not sure.
I don't know if it was ever. It was really well hyped. But the moment it hit, so actually Zach Matthews pointed this out in one of the comments on one of my posts. I know we've chatted sort of about it, haven't we, as well, Sean?
A little bit, yeah.
But before there'd even been any reason to play in store, as in like any OP support, the first store kit had actually arrived. They'd announced Legion. So they'd given people excuses to get out of the game before they'd given people a reason to play it.
Well, it was interesting because I learned about it at Adepticon. They were giving them, I think it was like with the whatever their super sign-up thing was, and then they were selling it for $50.
Yeah.
You could buy one for $50. And then I ended up getting 2 cores with that and a little bit into... But I think what killed the game actually was Age of Sigmar. When Games Workshop came out with Age of Sigmar, which just changed the whole fantasy, that screwed Rune Wars right off the bat. And I think that in the planning stages of Rune Wars, Age of Sigmar didn't exist.
It was first edition Age of Sigmar, which people weren't playing.
Right.
So the thing I was chatting about when Rune Wars came out, I remember making the statement that obviously it comes back to those games that when they had the license, when they split, it gave FFG the room to do Games Workshop style games, so a fantasy mass battle game, and Games Workshop the room to do FFG style games like Shadespire and Nightfall and the Warhammer Underworld stuff. Yep. And I remember just thinking, Games Workshop are actually out FFGing FFG with this Shadespire stuff because that's going really, really well.
Because the buy-in was so much less.
Yeah.
I think ultimately the Hail Mary on Rune Wars died. It just didn't happen. It was incomplete, didn't happen. The interesting thing is what it seemed to me, and this is just my view of the world, is they went all in. It was kind of like Rune Wars was the test bed for a true miniature skirmish game. They were able to, number one, I actually like the game. I like the movement where most people didn't like the movement in Rune Wars. I like the movement in Rune Wars. I hate it when you have tape measures, and I've played in many games. I used to be a big Warhammer Fantasy player. Looking at almost 30 years ago. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Yeah, and I was in my 20s, and I'm almost 50 now. So, and the one thing I learned in that is that you have dicks out there, but you have them in every game system. I get it, but you have dicks out there, especially in those types of games where they fudge that tape measure. It's a 4-inch move. Well, it ends up being like 8 inches somehow. At the end of the move, and I'm not going to sit. It's crazy. I'll be honest with you. It's really crazy because I just threw away my original because it was so beat up and torn up. I found it and threw it away last week. My original Warhammer Fantasy rules from eons ago. They were just so bad. I mean, they were falling apart. And then I gave away my when I got back into the game. When was that? It was about 9 years ago, before they changed everything in it. And I found that rule book, and that was the big thick, the 1 1/4 inch thick rule book with everything in it. And then I had because I was Bretonnian. I love the Bretonians, and I had actually bought into Dark Elves right before I quit playing and stuff. But getting back to Rune Wars, I love the movement because of that. I loved it because it became a game where you could measure it much better, and it also helps me visualize things better. I don't have the best visualization skills.
It's a very clean game. I really liked it. Its simplicity lent itself to actually the decisions you made on the table, and the bluffing factor with the dials was really strong because you had variable in it. It's like if you imagine it, bringing it to an X-Wing analogy, if the maneuver you dialed in affected the initiative value your pilot was moving at. So it's like if I do a 1 straight, I'm moving at initiative 1. But if I do a 5 straight, I'm moving at initiative 6.
Right.
So,
but I just think, the thing about it, Kris, is I think it was a test bed for everything.
Yeah.
Rune Wars was the sacrificial lamb for X-Wing 2.0. It was a sacrificial because of the way that they restructured the initiative bids and everything else.
I've not written an article on this or anything because I don't have double verified sources and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be. I'm relatively confident saying that FFG screwed Rune Wars over multiple ways, and they knew it whilst it was happening. So they announced the game with 2 factions instead of all 4 factions with less units, because they tried to do it like X-Wing. That's their only point of a miniatures game, was we built out Rebels and Imperials because people want to play Rebels against Imperials, so you want either side. And they picked humans and undead, so that was fine. Yeah. But I said, if Rune Wars had launched with the starter box and then the Elf starter box and the Ufuk starter box,
it
would have been much better received, because faction variety is really important in a miniatures game, especially when you're looking at generic fantasy IP. I also think they should have done Tyrannoth Orcs instead of Ufuk as the 4th faction and brought Ufuk out later, because Orcs resonate within the fantasy players, and you're getting right into the hooks of, it's still a generic fantasy setting, but they were looking to delve into that. You've got Heroes of Tyrannoth, you've got a Tyrannoth source book for the role-playing game.
Right.
they're looking to build on their own IPs, but it was just mismanaged.
Well, that is I was just say mismanagement for sure. But the question I have is if they would have been able to do something, if they could have picked up another IP. So as an example, like the Middle Earth, let's say, or something where you have a known quantity. Not everybody knows the Tyranoth. Not everybody knows.
I get that, and I was excited for them to do their own IP because they can do it cheaper. So, and you're not fighting against Games Workshop have the IP for Lord of the Rings, so you've got to wait for it to time out and then try and outbid them.
Right.
And you know what I mean? If you just use it AN generic, it's easy. But I don't know. I think that's enough on Rune Wars. I think that's more talk than it deserves.
Oh, yeah.
So long story short, the game's going to die.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've got all 4 armies still unpainted, but I've got all 4 of them. I can add a couple of units cheap, and I'll keep it, because I think it's a solid game. Will I ever play it again? I'm hammering A Song of Ice and Fire at the minute, because that's fantastic. I just played again.
Now, is that a miniatures game too? And who's doing that game?
That's Cool Mini or not?
That's right.
So there's the Stark versus Lannister box set at the moment. So you have Starks and Lannisters. You have the neutral faction, which at the minute is House Bolton. You've got Cutthroats, Flayed Men Cavalry, and the Bolton's Bastard Girls, which is Archers and Hunting Dogs. So you shoot someone, and then after you've shot them, you can loose the hounds and just charge a unit, so you get double attacks. You get to shoot range attack and melee attack people. And then they just did the Night's Watch starter box, which is stupidly good value. It comes with a 40-point army, which is the standard size of the game, which is probably the strongest build for Night's Watch. It's just that box. So you don't need to buy anything else. It comes with the rules, the pop-out terrain, which is double-sided compared to the normal starter box's single-sided one. So if you're willing to play Night's Watch, it's stupidly good value. It comes with everything you need to play. It comes with Night's Watch specific dice in it. It's not even like cheap. The base game comes with cheap generic dice. If you buy the Night's Watch starter, it's really good. Wild Wings are next. And we're rounding it all out, going through. It's set in the War of the Five Kings, so no White Walkers or dragons at the minute, but we'll see.
Can you play Dothraki? Can you have a Dothraki horde?
Not at the minute. There's
no Khalasars? Oh.
No, there'll be 5 factions that we know about, and within the Starks, for example, you have Braden Tully, so you can run Tully swordsmen instead of Stark ones, which are actually different models with different rules. So they're all like unit card stuff. So the Tully units are really heavily armoured and like foot knights. You can run House Umber with Great John Umber, which are all like berserkers and great axe wielding maniacs. So you've got variety within the Stark faction. In the what do you call it? The Lannister faction, you've got like House Clegane, you've got pyromancers, so you can have people run around with alchemist fire throwing, just burning people.
But it's more. I want to say more like medieval combat, because if you're not really doing a ton of magic or dragons or wizards or stuff like that, then really it's just medieval combat.
Yeah, it's set in the Game of Thrones, so it's outside of Daenerys with 3 dragons and the Night King. It's a very fantasy light setting.
I would agree with
it's a solid game, very fast, really loose with the rules, really easy to get into, no pressure. I've been really enjoying playing that. But it kind of brings me on to a point I thought like touching the flight deck of doing this podcast again, where I've been trying to be more competitive at X-Wing. I feel like I'm taking the games too seriously that I'm playing again at the minute, because I was playing against the Night's Watch and absolute fuckers. they can just regenerate the units so much. And I was halfway through, I was like, this fucking game won't die. And just getting annoyed. And I was like, it doesn't matter. If you want to win, I'm ahead by a point now, and I can pull back and I will win by the end of the game. Or I can see if I can actually kill that unit and we can just have fun. So we went through and it ended up as a 7-7 draw, and it was an awesome game, and Dan was a really good sport. It was really good fun. But I could feel myself like, this fucking unit won't die. When I was like making bad decisions jousting TIE fighters with Kylo, I couldn't kill these 2 Mining Guild TIE fighters. I shot them at like range 1 with quick draw and Kylo. After he had like 1 hit point left, and I still couldn't. I just did no damage, and this is fucking bull. And I'm just getting annoyed at the game. I'm like, dude, just play. What's wrong here? So that's
have fun, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. I need to. I want to try and do better for the sake of like playing X-Wing, so I can talk about it and have games to report. But
of course.
I don't want it to stop being fun.
No, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got some news to cover.
Yeah.
We'll kind of go off on that one. I think I'll do some research on the Song of Ice and Fire and see if it's... So the trick, of course, for me, like I always weigh my miniatures games. Am I going to have anybody to play with? Because there have been so many games I look and, ooh, that really looks cool. I'd like to play that. But if I don't have anybody to play with, then it loses its value virtually immediately.
That's the one thing that doesn't come with the Night Watch are opponents.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about getting into miniature games, or getting into any game really, is unless you're going to be the one that leads the community, there's no guarantee of a community.
So what I did, I remember us chatting, I don't know if you were on that show, Sean, we were talking about New Year's resolutions. So I didn't do one, but I was planning on doing a list of games I want to play. So I sat down with one of my friends who we make time to play games. Last year it was like once a month we'd make sure we play a game of something. I was like, Bill, do you want to like go through and we'll each pick like 2 or 3 games, and this year we will make sure we play those games. So I had like X-Wing, A Song of Ice and Fire, and Adeptus Titanicus, I think, were mine.
Ooh, there you go.
And then he's got the Fallout miniatures game that he wants to play. Von Unerschrecklichen Kulten is another game. So that was
God bless you.
But it's all, I love saying that name. Von Unerschrecklichen Kulten, of Unspeakable Cults. It's I worked on the game myself when it was a Kickstarter one. It was for a 2nd edition from a guy in Calgary I used to work with, Uncle Mike's Worldwide Productions or something like that. But it's a stupid little Cthulhu cult game where you have like 5 to 8 models and just go around summoning Cthulhu and losing the game because you summoned Cthulhu. What did you think was going to happen? Like, oh, I win. Oh no, we're all dead. Oh,
we all died.
But so I put one of the rules. It's like a skirmish game, so like a Necromunda style thing, where you've got the gang ratings, and you get to a point where if the gang rating's that far out, you can just call the feds. So instead of your cult going fighting the other cult, you can just take a unit, some policemen and FBI agents, and go and shoot the shit out of them with Tommy guns and stuff. And like, you get no benefits from it, but if you fuck them up enough, they're screwed for the rest of the campaign, so your cult can get back into it and stuff. And it's like, you can bribe it's in the rule book, like you can bribe the other player to not call the feds, though. It's like, well, if you don't call the feds and just come out and have an honest fight, I'll give you some shotguns. Would you like some more money? I'll pay you to not call the feds on us. Let's all worship Cthulhu together. But you've got like the Dagonite cults from Innsmouth with fishmen and werewolves and vampires, and it's good fun. So that's one of the ones that we're going to try and play, and that should go through. And that's how I'm going to make sure all of these stupid little games I've got that I'll never play, me and Bill sat down and we're going to make sure we play them. So you don't need loads for opponents, you just need one person. You can sit down, chill out, and just play some shit. And because it doesn't matter what the game is either. You can play a shit game, but if you play it with the right person, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it's just all fun and games. All right,
This is the best episode ever. I love this. I don't even like Clone Wars robots.
Speaking of Clone Wars robots, so we had not one but two articles drop off for the Separatist factions. So let's kind of get into that. Seize the Galaxy, of course, is the preliminary one that came out with the bomber and the fighter. So we got to see a little bit of what's coming out of that. We got to see the. Hold on, can you? The name of this bomber is the.
So there's two accepted names at the moment, which were the Bulbasaur or the Belly Rub.
Okay, let's go with that one.
But I believe it's the Belbalab. Sorry, Belbalab 22 Starfighter.
Belbalab,
Yeah,
22.
So
Yeah.
we got to see its dial for starters, and it's got an awful lot of light. So I secretly held this thought, and we did talk about this off camera, that because they are droids, that we would see no red maneuvers on there. Like we'd see like white sloops and stuff like that.
So
But alas,
the Belbalab 22 actually has pilots in it.
Yeah, well,
so
yeah, because
they're not
there are
droids.
two named pilots that we
Yeah.
saw.
Sorry, carry on.
That's okay, but it doesn't have a particularly impressive as far as the amount of blue maneuvers are concerned, but it has a lot of maneuvers. Like it has everything except a one straight. It has the two banks and two straight that's blue, but it also has a two hard. It's got a three hard that's red, a sloop. I mean, it's a pretty good dial. It goes all the way up to the 4 and 5 straight maneuvers. I mean, so I think it's only missing like one or two maneuvers of all the potential maneuvers that it could take.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a K-turn, which is interesting. You know, it has the sloops, but no K-turn. And I really think that without, any ship without a K-turn, even with the sloops, because, I understand sloops exist and everything, but the K-turn, though, is a positional, game changer, where a sloop is a two-game or two-turn positional game changer, where you're going to do it, you're going to have to pick the direction you're going, but without a definitive K-turn, you can't get back in the fight right away like you would want to.
Yeah.
So that's the negative I see on that dial. Otherwise, I really want to play. I want to get outside of the Rebels. So I was hoping to play the Separatists, just something different.
I think you'll like the Separatists, Sean.
Vulture droids, man.
One straights. I need one straights.
I did take note of that. No one straight on this.
Let's ignore the rest of the Bulbalab so we can talk about the dial on the because you went on to dials. So we can talk about the binary. This thing only works on rails dial for the actual droid fighters. Well,
was it in the other article that they showed the dial on?
If you scroll down,
further down on the article.
So
there it is. Okay.
This is the sickest dial I've ever seen out of any dial in this game.
Yeah.
A freaking 1K turn.
Yeah.
Doesn't the B-Wing have a 1K?
I think it's got one Talon rolls, I think.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's got the one Talon rolls. Yes, it's got a 1K turn.
So this ship is better than a B-Wing now. When it gets down to that. Now, B-Wings are different because you have one straight, so you got a lot of knife fighting to do. But these things right here are they're gonna attack you, and then they're gonna come right back at you. And positionally, these things are gonna be a pain in the ass to outfly. Now, with that said, though, they don't have one banks, they don't have one straights.
But if you look at the distribution of white, red, and blue moves on this dial, it literally looks like they just span the wheel. Oh, exactly. What colour is this one? It's a blue move! Yay! Right. The two hard left can be blue. Spin again.
The bank is not. The two straights blue.
But think about this. If you can do a 5 straight white, and on the very next turn, and make it past the ships, let's say, okay? Then on the very next turn, you're 1K'ing back at them. So you're moving 6 and repositioning completely.
Yeah.
That's I love A-Wings, even though they don't have the one straight. I love playing A-Wings. But this is disgusting when it comes to it. I can fly past you. It's like it's almost as bad as the Defender. The
4K white. Yeah.
I mean, it's just because this ship here is designed. It's a fast ship. It's designed for speed. But my God, if I line that up and sit there and because it's a three initiative, so it's middle of the road. So if you're going up against a bunch of high pilot skilled ships, I'm going to fly in at you as close as I can get to you, and then the next turn I'm just going to sit there and be behind you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I love it.
I'm not getting.
No, it doesn't have a one strike. I love that thing.
I'm not getting the 3 bank being red.
Well,
it goes. It's a robot. They only work in right angles.
Yeah,
apparently.
It's like playing Snake.
Yeah. But in reality, though, it's pretty amazing.
So
we did get some pilots we could talk about. Of course, let's take a look. Of course, General Grievous is going to be at the top of the list. Coming in at Initiative 4, let's kind of discuss the stats for the Bulbasaur, as we're calling it.
A 1.0 X-Wing.
So 3 attack dice out the front, a 2 evade, 3 hull, 2 shields. Comes with a focus, target lock, a barrel roll that can be linked actions into a red focus, and a boost that can be linked action into a focus. His ability comes in when you perform a primary attack. If you're not in the defender's firing arc, you may reroll up to 2 attack dice. So it's a built-in target lock if you're out of arc. I
don't like Grievous at all. So before I go on about Grievous, I'm really, really hoping that there's loads of stuff that identifies this faction that we'll get into as we go through both articles. But at the minute, Initiative is pretty on the low side. We've not seen any 5s or 6s properly.
Yep, I noticed that too.
And I hope that they never get an Initiative 6 pilot, and that they have a ratio of 5s that other factions have 6s. And they make up for that by letting you have a 15-point vulture droid. You can only take 8 ships. There's a rule in the book as part of list building is you can only take 8 ships. So it doesn't matter. You can have 1-point ships. You can only have 8 of them.
And then just go in for
that
92
when you look at Magic the Gathering, they've broken the rules too with that. So
yeah,
it doesn't take much to break the rules in a game. Here's the thing I don't agree with you, Chris, and this is just me personally, is that when I look at this faction, you got to sell ships, right? You got to get people sold into playing the faction. And if you're never going to be able to shoot before Vader or be able to shoot before some of these other elite pilots, and I know where you're coming from, so bear with me.
No, it's good.
Then at the same time, it's, how do you keep people interested? That's my big concern with the 4 or 5 pilot skill cap.
So
now, with that said, when you look at the world of Star Wars and you look at the prequels, there really was never a pilot.
Yeah.
That you saw in that world at that time. And I don't know, I'm not 100% sure about Clone Wars, if there was ever anything.
There's nothing really. The only thing that people speculated on would be Jango Fett. But it's like, please don't put the fire spray in a different faction again. Because then you've got to come up with 4 other fire spray pilots and stuff.
Yeah, which you could have both. To me, you could have young Boba, who's a pilot skill, or an initiative 2.
If they put young Bubba in, it means he'll put Anakin in, and Chad will get his wish, and I'll cry and die a little inside. So
yeah.
Oh, I was going to bring that up here in a minute.
Okay.
But I'm going to say, I'm okay right now with launching this thing. If General Grievous, though, was the best pilot, I'm sad. I died a little bit.
So we're going to have a Sith infiltrator as well, so we'll be some.
Yeah, we'll see something.
Yeah. Well, so I think I was listening to Scum and Villainy, and they were chatting about it. They were doing the same thing we're doing now, basically, and they were going through it, and they were saying, oh, but an ace and mini swarm's like a really, really good archetype, and I really want to be able to do an ace and a mini swarm. It's like, well, you can play Vader and some TIE fighters.
Right.
Right?
Not every faction has to have every play style. And so that sounds like I'm attacking Scum and Villainy now. I'm not.
No.
It's more of just that argument in general. It's a very X-Wing 1.0 mindset of all the factions could do. It's like, okay, finally the Empire have got the turreted ship with the aggressor. Scum have got the shielded ship, shielded ordnance carrier with a Kimagilla. Rebels have got their TIE fighter, so everyone can do everything now. Everyone's happy, yeah? It's like, no, you do it as like a miniatures game. It's like...
Yeah, make it unique.
Yeah. It's like, no one complains that the Tyrannid, like, Gene Stealer cult doesn't have Space Marines wearing power armor in it. It's like, well, no, it's a Gene Stealer cult. It does Gene Stealer cult things.
Right, exactly. It's part of the faction identity. Yeah, I agree with that.
And if the faction identity is, oh no, I don't get to shoot before Vader, so Vader gets to shoot one of my robots, the other 6 robots shooting back, and then I've still got a 90-point Sith infiltrator. So it might, if you could run your one of your fire sprays, Sean, and 7 other ships. If you could run a loaded out fire spray and then 7 pieces of garbage. Yeah. And as long as I don't want every faction to be able to do that, but I don't feel like it'll hurt the game if they can't do the high initiative thing, but no one else can do the thing that they can. The people who want to do that will buy it. And everyone will buy it anyway because Roger, it's happening, you know.
Because Vulture droids are going to be amazing. That's why.
Yeah.
So the next pilot they premiered was Tambor.
Yeah. So
when performing a primary attack, you may reroll 1 attack die for each calculating friendly ship at range 1 of the defender, meaning all the other droids.
Do you want me to? Do you remember a minute? Well, like 10 minutes ago now, where I said before I start telling you why I don't dislike General Grievous. So this guy's just a better Grievous.
He is. He actually is.
So if I do stuff that requires me outflying you with my low initiative ship, I get to reroll 2 of my dice. Right. What about if I just throw 50 Vulture droids at you? I can then reroll anyway. I'll just do that. It sounds easier. And I'm probably cheaper because I'm initiative 3.
Yeah, no, that one looks really good.
Yeah, I like this pilot right here, the ability, and then you're just going to build towards him being your ace.
Yeah. And the upgrade that Ed really likes, the impervium plating.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. I was gonna say we've got the generic pilot, of course, that comes in at initiative 1, the Phaethon autopilot. So that one's got to calculate not focus.
It's not Nova Squadron. We don't have to read every card anymore.
You're right. All right. So impervium plating comes with two. I don't want to say energy. Energy is not the right. 2 charges. Yeah. Before you are dealt a face-up ship damage card, you may spend 1 energy to discard it instead. I saw this and went, "Excuse me."
So I did a video on this article. I've not done one on the Power and Profit one yet because I've just been busy this week. But I'm pretty sure there were 18. No, it's more than that. It's like 27. Ship cards. I can't remember.
Yeah, you're going exactly where I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm counting them now.
I can't remember. I wrote it down for the video. It's in my other video. Go and watch that instead. Stop watching this one. Go and watch that one. Give me more clicks, and then come back. The ratio is pretty good. The odds are good. I think it was like I'm gonna say
25.
25.
I've got my damage deck right here.
25 33s.
Yeah, exactly. So more often than not, you are going to hit a ship-based critical that comes over that for 2 energy you can just discard. It goes nowhere and does nothing. This is amazing. Now, of course, Kris, you push back on it a little bit. Like, well, what if I don't roll crits?
So it's situational. But the good thing about it, it does just discard them. So if it's priced in line with a hull upgrade, I'd probably take the hull upgrade. If it's priced cheaper than a hull upgrade, it's good.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It's also going to be meta dependent, because if you have a lot of people using a lot of things that do a lot of crits,
Yeah.
Proton torpedoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then this is great. It gives you that ability to make your 5 hit point ship potentially a 7 hit point ship.
Yeah.
In the correct meta. I agree with Kris, though. I would do the whole upgrade before I would do this.
If they're the same points.
Yes, if they're the same point. Yeah, point dependent.
Yeah. Caveat everything now, because we never see points anymore.
Correct.
No, never.
So the next one was my favourite from this article. Captain Seer. Yeah.
Yep. When a friendly ship at range 0 to 3, 0 to 3, love that, performs a primary attack, if the defender is in its bullseye arc before the neutralized result step, the friendly ship may spend 1 calculate token to cancel an evade result.
Yeah. Crack shot.
All the time.
So I've heard people talking about this because network calculate and all of that, being able to spend each other's spend each other's calculate tokens.
That's on the Vulture droids.
Yeah, so because people are saying the Vulture droids are going to be able to all have crack shot effectively. Okay. I'm just going to read network calculation. While you defend or perform an attack, you may spend 1 calculate token from a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 to change 1 eyeball result to an evade or a hit. That's the only thing you can use network calculations for. Don't get too excited and start thinking you can spend other people's. So if you've got them in bullseye, that's the one that has to keep its own calculate token to trigger this ability.
Correct.
You can spend other people's calculates to modify your rolls, but your calculate token has to be one spent for this ability. The network calculation is specific on what it can be used for. Don't get too excited.
Don't get too excited. All right, since we've gotten into the Vulture droids, we have something that I think is relatively unique in X-Wing. I don't ever recall seeing anything like this one before. So we're looking at the Vulture droids. They come in with a two attack dice out of the front primary arc, 2 evade, 3 hull, calculate, target lock, barrel roll into a linked action calculate. But they're limited in the fact that the precise center, that initiative 3, you can have 3 of them. It is dotted for 3, meaning you can have a maximum of 3 in your list. And they have an ability. While you perform an attack, if the defender is in your bullseye arc, you may reroll 1 blank result. So that is really interesting. We've never seen anything like that before in X-Men before. A generic pilot with an ability built in.
It's not a generic. It's a precise hunter. It's a triple unique.
It is really.
It's a limited 3. Is the actual wording for it. I'm sure it goes into it. Yeah. So there's no dotted doesn't mean unique. Dotted now means limited, and it's limited by the number of dots. So,
but the whole faction's built up that way. So this is how they feel different. Like they have generic pilots, but each of those generic pilots have their own special abilities. It's not just blank chassis with baked in ability. It is, they also have an additional pilot ability on top of that, which is really cool.
Yeah. What's the name of the next one? The Initiative 1? I'm not butchering that one.
The Horchild prototype. The Horcall. HAORCHALL. You tell me. Another limited at initiative 1, only 2 per list. And again, comes with its own pilot ability. After an enemy ship in your bullseye arc, seems like a theme, at range 0 to 2, declares another friendly ship as the defender, you may perform a calculate or a target lock action. Really interesting. So, like, I'm really kind of getting the feel for how the Separatists are going to fly. They all can do something. They may not be the best at it, but they all can do something. It is really cool.
Yeah, I really like it.
Depends on their point cost.
Yeah, no, I mean, if they're like 20 points, maybe.
Yeah, in reality, because you're looking at to me, these are as much of a throwaway as the Benari Pirates or the low pilot skill Z95s.
Yeah,
I think they're less because they have less hull and like they only have 3 hull. They don't have the 3 evades like a TIE fighter would.
I get that, but remember, there's a ship limitation. So
yeah.
So if you're only allowed to play 8 Vulture class droid fighters, you need to have more beef with them because of the fact they're only shooting 2 offensive dice. They only roll 2 defense dice, and they're pretty much poppable on every attack.
Yeah.
When you start looking at that, you're going to have to look at, I need to be able to field 8 of these and like 3 of something else to make this worthwhile. But then it all depends what the limitation is. You know, right now you're at 5. With the first 2 we've looked at, you're at 5 that you can put out there. You're at 6 with the next one we'll talk about.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't want to get into points guessing, but like this is we've seen the dial, which is really interesting, but I don't know that it's enough to go over the cost of what a TIE fighter is. I'd almost argue that this should be cheaper than a TIE
let's
fighter.
look at something here though. So they're showing us 3 pilots, right? For the Vulture class.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Precise Hunter is 3. You can play 3 of those. The Hao Chow prototype, you can only play 2 of those. So now you're at 5. And now you're at the DFS 081, which you can only play 1. Now you have a limitation of 6 of these ships on the field.
yeah.
So you're going to have a buildable material around them to make these guys actually worthwhile. That's what my point is here, is that these guys to me are as throwaway as the Benaris and the other Z95s were when you got into lists where you were using 4 or more of those types of ships.
Yeah.
And that's the thing here, is that these are going to be fun to play.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that they put more out.
And just this.
Yeah.
And just this. I'm hoping that you can buy them in blisters.
Right,
And they
so
give you
this is
free-
only the pilots from the Servants to Strife box. So the one that's in the blisters, we don't know about yet.
Right. But I'm hoping that they have a generic, more generic even than these, where you can play the 3 limited and then just have crap tons of generic. So you have a viable, force just with this ship. It's my big point here is, with the Benari Pirates and the Z95s, you could run 7 or 8 of those.
Yeah.
And still have a semi-viable list, where with these, I mean, range 3 shots, through asteroids can still kill these things. And
Right?
you're going to need a lot of them. You're going to need a lot of these ships on the board to be able to get damage through.
But you'd have to.
Yeah. Because you don't want to put these things at range 1 of anything.
Right, but I mean, let's continue.
Do you
Go
though?
ahead, Chris.
All right, so if we look at the Hadar Chow prototype, so it's Initiative 1. If that's one of the ships at range 1 of you, are you going to shoot this one? Because if you don't, it's going to get a target lock or an extra calculate and stuff like that. So it can start building up. Like, I need to shoot this one, but the other one's got better stuff. And,
Right.
do I shoot the Precise Hunter that's going to be re-rolling dice and crack-shotting me? Or do I shoot this one, which is now going to be target locking me, so it's re-rolling dice and crack-shotting me? And I feel like you can...
Else,
So I feel like if you jam them up, they will die. They will blow up. But from what you were saying about having 8 ships, if you run 8 TIE fighters, there's no upgrades. If you run 8 Benaris, there's no upgrades. If you run
but
8,
their dial makes them more of an effective ship than this one will be.
Yeah. If you run 8 of these, you're taking they've got a ship ability and a pilot ability.
Effectively,
and then you're getting
pilots.
upgrades as well. So yeah, I think
that is the difference between 1 and 2.0 though too.
Yeah.
Is that little thing right there. If you ran 7 Benari Pirates, you could put all of the feedback arrays on them,
Yeah.
with 7, I believe.
I think you can only do 7, Yeah, you can
2 points.
Yeah,
Because
you couldn't do
12
8.
points. 12 points times 8 is 96, so you'd have 16 points if you pulled one out. You could do feedback, which made him an extreme. In the old rule of feedback, where you didn't have to be looking at a ship, you could be on a rock and still feedback somebody and do damage.
Yeah,
these are going to be fun. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. You know, these are going to be a challenge in the game too. You're going to have to really practice and understand the maneuvering of these ships to be able to make them effective.
Grappling struts.
Yeah. Do you? He did mention DFS.
Yeah. We didn't talk about his actual ability, did we?
Friendly ships at a friendly ship. While a friendly ship at 0 to 1 defends, it may spend 1 calculate token to change all crit results to hit results. And then of course, if you have that upgrade that you put on. No, I was gonna say it's completely the opposite. So basically you're just preventing crits from going through.
Right.
Yeah, which is good.
All right, so let's get into the cool one, which is the grappling struts. When they are closed, while you execute a maneuver, if you overlap an asteroid or debris cloud, and there are 1 or fewer other friendly ships at range 0 of that obstacle, you may flip this card. When you flip the card, you ignore obstacles at range 0, and while you move through them, wait, that feels wrong. You ignore obstacles at range 0, and while you move through them. After you reveal your dial, you may reveal a maneuver other than they choose straight and are at range 0 of the asteroid or debris cloud. Skip your execute maneuver phase, remove one stress token. If revealed at the right or left maneuver rotation your ship 90 degrees after you execute a maneuver, flip this card.
Yeah.
So I thought they land on that, right?
So there's lots of words there. I don't want to go too deep into how this works because I feel like you have to do it in video form. And whilst we are on video form, you need to show it on the table.
Like actually be looking at the ship.
Yeah. So when they're closed, which is the side that you come equipped, so you cannot start the game parked on rocks because that's outside your deployment zone, so it doesn't matter anyway. But they start closed. If at any point you fly over an asteroid or a debris cloud, you can effectively stop on them.
And land.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they're doing.
So if you that's wrong. If you land your ship on it, you can stay on it as long as there's no more than one other ship on it. While you've landed on the rock, you basically become a turret. The only way to get off the rock is to do a 2 straight.
Correct.
If you dial any other maneuver except a 2 straight, you either stay where you are, remove a stress, or you rotate 90 degrees in the direction you went. So, yeah.
Yeah, good. That makes sense. It's a lot of words to explain how this works.
Well, that's what 2.0 does. That's why the cards are bigger. That's why they went to this method. Yeah. So they could actually put all the rules on a card rather than an FAQ.
Yeah.
Well, and I know there's a lot of people already talking ahead of time, like, well, what if I get torpedoes on these things? And then I could just sit on a rock and fire torpedoes at people. That's actually kind of I don't know that they're going to have them. And
they have missiles. They have the energy shell ones that you can reload.
Oh, do you want to just bounce right over to that second article then? Since those are kind of what we're talking about?
Yeah. We'll move right on.
Just move right on to that second article then. So then, of course, they had a second article where they revealed a little bit more about this one.
Yeah, it's still from the same pack.
You get the idea of the spreads that goes in there and all the cards that come with it. And there we go. So let's get into the one thing that you're talking about first, which are the energy cell charges. Attack requires a calculate token. Spend an energy while you perform this attack. You may spend 1 calculate token to change 1 focus result to a crit, and an action reload this card. So they could actually just sit there and fire away. It is 3 attack dice out of the front arc, and they are range 2 to 3.
So remember, as part of a reload action, you do gain a weapons disabled token. So you can't fire on the turn you reload. Calm down, everyone. It's okay.
Yeah, but if you have multiple, you can. You're going to just be, this ship shoots, this ship doesn't, this ship shoots, this ship
if you can take 8 of them, all with energy shell charges.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome. Especially at range 2 to 3, because that's exactly where you want to be, and it gives you an extra attack die.
Yeah. And you don't give your opponent range bonuses.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Sounds good. And it's got the soft mod into a crit. I'm in. Bye. I'll take it. I will have myself some energy shell charges.
Yeah, easily.
So then so this is another conversation we had at the game store. So let's say, for example, you take the big rock. Where does it land on the big rock?
So remember, it says if you overlap the obstacle. So this is why I want to do a video on it, because it's so much easier. When you overlap an obstacle, your base is overlapping the obstacle. It doesn't say to pick your shit up and clamp it on. You just flip the card. So it lands where it lands.
Okay, so that's a good argument, because there were some folks that were like, well, what if you put it at the center of the rock, big rock itself? And then I'm like, no, I think this, as soon as it touches the rock.
But it's not if your maneuver template overlaps the obstacle, it's if you overlap the obstacle.
Right, so you need to finish your maneuver on the rock.
Yeah.
Or debris cloud.
Yeah.
Okay, because that makes more sense. Because like with the way that we were talking about at the game store, it's like, well, they could just put it in the center of the rock and just turn 90 degrees wherever the action's going every turn and just fire missiles off. And I'm like, that seems kind of broken.
Why would you put it in the center of the rock? Because then you're giving your opponent obstructed shots every time. If you have it so you're not on the edge, if you just have your back edge clipping the rock, you can shoot people when they're not obstructed.
So the argument was, I've got one down to one hull. I'm going to park it on the rock, and then I'm going to get the extra bonus for firing through the rock for defense dice. Yeah. I agree. So the minute that it lands on there, though, that's kind of where it sticks.
Yeah.
So they do get every faction seems to get its own faction specific EBT. Theirs is treacherous. While you defend, you may choose a ship obstructing the attack at this and spend one charged. If you do, cancel one hit or crit results, and the ship you have chosen gains a stress token. After that, ship at range 0 to 3 is destroyed, recover 1 energy. So this one actually kind of recharges.
I really feel like this is being translated from Japanese to English.
It's just bad at reading.
I'm just bad at reading out loud.
I don't think so, because I'm reading it the same way. I mean, in my head anyway. Yeah. While you defend, you may choose a ship obstructing the attack and spend 1 energy. If you do, cancel 1 hit or crit result, and the ship you choose gains 1 strain token. After a ship at range 0 to 3 is destroyed, recover 1. So
wait, it does say strain, not stress.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So you have a new token coming in.
Yeah,
I mean, just like
that's in the article as well. We get that. But if you break this card into sentences, it's actually really easy. While you defend, you may choose a ship obstructing the attack and spend a charge.
So, I'm guessing, and I read in the article it states it, but it seems to me that the separatist ships can obstruct.
All ships obstruct. Anything that your attack passes through obstructs that attack.
Okay.
But for it to have an effect, a card has to reference it, or it needs to be. The rules for an asteroid is when it's obstructed, you roll it different dice. The rules so anything the only way it's not obstructed is if there's literally just the map that you're playing on. Right.
I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Just the rule goes into effect when something states it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Again, this is going to be when we get to the main topic and stuff, and it's a lot of 1.0 hang-ups that everybody has. So the more I look into it and think about it, I really like 2.0. It's a really clean game, as long as you've never played X-Wing before.
Right, because that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to flush 1.0 down the toilet.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what I'm working towards here, so that it's why I don't like extended, because it just feels like it's
too much to remember, and
it's a remnant of 1.0.
Yeah.
1.0 got so bulky, and 2.0 you're able to still play every ship. You're still able to do half the stuff or more that you were able to do before. I like this better. I like it that everything's fresh. Feels fresh to me. So we're going to move to the next card, Ed?
Well, so I have 2 questions because I'm reading, because what I was looking for was to see if they described what the strain token did in the article, and I'm not seeing that. But I'm also noticing that those gas clouds that are coming with it are new obstacles in the game.
Correct. that you can choose.
Which is fantastic. I'm really happy they're doing that.
So my question with the obstacles, though, is do you have to be the Separatist faction to be able to use them?
To use the obstacles?
Yeah, to be able to use gas clouds.
I wouldn't have thought so. I'm going to completely go against what I just said. Of it would be like when Dash came out with debris. If you didn't own Dash, you could still, you can still use debris. I'm pretty sure it's you select 3 obstacles from what's available.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, but I do think it'd be cool though if there was a restriction or limitation on these, and then you have the other faction coming out with these guys that will be able to have their own and kind of make it their own. Give them that advantage rather than everybody the same advantage. That's just me personally,
Okay, so I do have the answer on strained token.
It's in there. I was going to say it, but if you find it,
strained ships. When a strained ship defends, it rolls 1 fewer defense die. A strained token is removed after all strained ships defend, but it's far better to remove a token by executing a blue maneuver before being targeted while it is at extreme disadvantage. So basically, you need to perform a blue maneuver to get it off, but it seems like that ship stays strained, like it doesn't clear.
Yeah, it doesn't clear itself the same way stress doesn't clear, but once it's punished you with your defense roll, then it's gone.
And it clears.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty
cool. I just like the fact that it's something different. We're not playing the same game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I feel it's in one of those design spaces, like they introduced debris clouds and then they never really went any further
with them. Well, they did with the rig cargo chute. I like the fact that they came out with the rig cargo chute later on.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, it was a pretty cool concept, but it was so late in the game that, it didn't help the game enough.
Well, it's this goes back to one of those things, like we always play the same standard 100-point dogfight fights, adding some level of variety to that.
Right.
One of the things you can do is so for the longest time, all we ever played with were rocks. And then we got debris cloud and those did something different. I really felt like there could have been more they could have done in that design space.
Absolutely. I agree.
And so this is fantastic.
Evidently there was.
Evidently.
Yeah. So when a gas cloud obstructs an attack, not only does the defender roll 1 additional defense die, they may also have auto thrusters equipped. Change 1 blank to an evade.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For me, I really, truly hope that this is separatist only, just because of that right there.
Yeah.
It gives a lot of advantages to the wide range of ships.
I will never take gas clouds because screw you. I'm not giving you an extra dice and auto thrusters. If you want to take them, I will abuse you for it as much as I can. But
I agree. I'm with you on that. But at the same time, that isn't it. And more. It's.
Do you know who really likes gas clouds? Han. Oh, yeah. I'd like rerolls that don't count as rerolls, and if I don't get the reroll, I'm just going to change it to an evade anyway. Really?
Yeah. I get it. I'm just saying. I just hope that it's a faction specific. Just me. I just think that'd be cool. All right, Kraken.
Kraken. On this one, there is something that a few people have missed that I wanted to point out as well. And it talks about the tactical relay upgrade. If you notice Kraken and the new one that they showed as well, the TV94, they both have separatist and solitary. It does go into what the solitary restriction is. So this information is so valuable that each tactical relay upgrade is also marked with a solitary restriction, limiting its use. Depending on the squad building, during squad building, a player cannot field more than 1 solitary card of the same upgrade type. So,
for example,
they're singularly restricted.
Yeah, you can only have 1 of them in your list, no matter what. Right. If you have 15 ships that can all field a tactical relay, doesn't matter.
You only get 1.
You only get 1
if it's solitary.
Yes.
Right. Well, what it's also saying is that you can't have, if I'm interpreting that correctly, that you can't have a tactical relay and Kraken in the same list.
Well, as in, the tactical relay is that upgrade type. That's what that symbol means.
Yeah.
So
the
if you look,
tactical relay is this new droid face
Kraken
relay.
Kraken is a tactical relay.
Right.
That's his type of upgrade. That's
so basically he's a character that becomes a part of the ship.
Yeah, he's not a crew. He's a.
Right.
If you look at the symbol on the card, it isn't a crew slot.
Yeah, he's a character that's part of the ship.
Yeah.
So this basically fills in the same slot that like modifications used to fill.
No, it's got it. So if the card has its own symbol.
Well, no, I get that, but remember how like basically until you got like the Royal Guard title, you can only ever take one modification.
No.
That's sort of what this is saying. Is you can only take one.
No, what it's saying is so if we assume that the Bulbasaur has a tactical relay slot, if you take a 4 Bulbasaur list, you can only take one tactical relay.
As long as but do they have generic tactical relays that don't have the solid?
Well, yeah. So as long you can only have one.
Basically, these are like the better of the tactical relays. So solitary, you can only take one if you have 15 ships.
Yeah. So if
you can still take other tactical relays, but they just don't fit in the solitary bracket.
You still look confused, Ed. So.
Yeah, I'm so.
Think about it this way. Let me try this.
Because they're dotted, so you can
think about this. So don't worry about the dot. Don't worry about the name. Don't worry about that. The keyword is solitary. Okay. So you have a tactical relay. All ships have tactical relay on it. Let's say that you want to take 10 ships. They all have tactical relay, but
as a potential for an upgrade slot.
Yes.
As a potential for an upgrade slot. So you could take 9 generic if there's 9 generics out there
that don't have the keyword solitary.
Don't have the keyword solitary, and then only one. So there could be 20 of these solitary ones in the game, but you can only have one in your list at any one time.
So it's like remember 1.0 when people were talking about squadron upgrades. Right. So it's something you pay for in list building that affects your entire squad.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't have you couldn't have a Rogue Squadron upgrade and a Blue Squadron upgrade because it would be Rogue Squadron or Blue Squadron.
Right.
That's mine. It's that kind of thing, which is pretty cool.
But this only affects one ship, though, correct?
No.
It's
only on one ship, but it can affect your whole list.
What the article says. I've lost it again now. So, on top of Australian Gas Crowds, the Servant of Strife Squadron Pack also introduces the new tactical relay upgrades to X-Wing, giving you another way to customize your Separatist ships. These devious droids feed battle information directly to the Separatist commanders, helping both them and the Vulture droids alter tactics on the fly. This information is so valuable that each tactical relay upgrade is also marked with a solitary restriction, limiting its use. During squad building, a player cannot field more than one solitary card of the same upgrade type.
So
not per ship, per squad.
So my question comes to this.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a solitary tactical relay. Are they going to make it like the IG 2000 upgrade where both ships or all ships are they going to have a tactical relay upgrade that allows you to place it on all of your ships?
Oh, I know what you mean.
Use that ability. That's a question because this feels to me a lot like the IG 2000.
I think it's on you to keep that ship alive personally at the minute. With what we know, I feel like I take my belly rub thing, my belly rub 22, and I hide that at the back and just do one hands in a circle whilst Kraken goes, "Fly, my pretties, fly, fly," and then your vulture droid, monkey, monster winged things leap out of a Wicked Witch of the East window and go and get people, and he's still just trying to hide in the corner because if he dies, they all turn shit.
I feel like I'm still struggling with this, and I think maybe maybe it is because they used 2 named and dotted solitary tactical relays to do this. Because in my mind, like, well, I wouldn't be able to take more than one of a dotted tactical relay anyway.
But, so if you took 2 Bulbalabs, you could take TV-94 and Kraken.
Right.
But you can't because it's solitary.
Okay, so that's where I'm getting at. So because I took Kraken, I now cannot take TV-94 because I already have a solitary
tactical relay
in the list.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. The second half to that is, so in that example that you just gave where you have one spinning in the corner in the background, his ability doesn't go squad wide, does it? It's
from hit. So onto Kraken now, I suppose.
Okay, yeah,
we've got there now. We've got there.
A lot of explanation because I thought I had it before, and then I just got completely turned around.
During the end phase, you may choose up to 3 friendly ships at range 0 to 3. If you do, each of those ships does not remove 1 calculate token, and it gives you a calculate action. So the Bulbalab doesn't have calculate normally. If you
higher pilots.
You put him on Grievous. He gives Grievous calculate as well as focus, because that's already focus. I'm just rambling for no reason there. It gives him calculate, and then anyone within 0 to 3 of Grievous would get this ability. If you, I'm just going to stop.
Yep.
I'm overcomplicating.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Okay.
So separatist means it can only be used by separatists. Solitary means it can only be used. There can only be 1 tactical relay with solitary in a list.
Yes.
That's what it means.
Yes. Well, we win.
Break it down that way. That's the easiest way to understand.
Well, you don't even need to use the word count. There can only be 1 solitary of a particular upgrade type in there, because you can see this getting migrated into
crew, solitary crew, solitary missile, solitary torpedoes, solitary ship types.
Right. Yeah, okay. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now I'm better. Yeah. I think way overcomplicated on that one. Basically, solitary meaning you can only have 1 of this type of this name in 1 solitary of that type. Period.
Yeah.
You can have generics, but if it says solitary, you can't then go add other additional solitaries.
Right.
So it's additional limitation on already, in some of these cases, already limited cards. Yeah. Okay, got it.
And when you look at this ability, going back to just the ability, that's actually a pretty powerful ability.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely.
It reminds me of the IG-88s when the revamp on the IG-88 with their ability to keep their calculate.
I don't know, Sean. It's not like they can spend each other's calculate token. Oh
wait. What was the other upgrade that it did? That if you held on, you could
if
take
only
out
you could crack shot people with these tokens and stuff.
Wait. But in 1.0, there was an upgrade that allowed you to like take an evade token and basically just hang on to it. That's basically what this allows them to do is hang on to their calculate tokens, and that's super powerful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But you're all talking about they're a crappy ship to begin with. In essence, to where allowing them to keep their calculate isn't as strong. Now, when you get to the Beelzebub ships, those can, if they have calculate or the ability to gain calculate, that makes it a little more dangerous because they have the 3 and 2, where Vulture droids have 3 and they're done. So this could be interesting. I kind of like this. I'm really, really, really liking, after going through these line by line, I'm liking this faction already.
Yeah, and I see where it's going, because it's exactly how you would want a droid army to perform, is they're all constantly helping each other out. I think that's fantastic.
Well, there'd be a network. You look at it when they killed the, in the movie, when they killed the
droid
ship, the droid
control ship,
command ship.
Yeah,
the controlling ship. Yeah,
when they killed that, it shut everything down. Yeah. So you're looking at IGs were linked. We already know about the linking of droids in the Star Wars universe. So this fits kind of well.
So I do want to get to TV-94 because this one.
I'm looking at it right now. So while a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 performs a primary attack against a defender in its bullseye arc, if there are 2 or fewer attack dice, you may spend 1 calculate token to add a hit result. Holy crap!
Yeah.
So you just took all of those 2-attack vulture droids and made them 3-attack vulture droids if they're in the bullseye arc.
But with one die that never misses.
Yeah,
and if only I had a reroll for the dice that did miss, if I was in my bullseye arc and crack shot.
Yeah.
Living the dream, my friend. Living the dream.
Now you understand why these are solitary, because you do not want this to be.
You do not want
get out of hand fast.
Yeah.
Holy cow! We did get the title for the Soulless one on the. I like Sean's the Beelzebub.
We're just going with different names each one. So
yep.
I'm just thinking of being.
Interestingly enough, adds 2 hull. When you defend, if the attacker is outside your firing arc, you may reroll a defense dice.
Yeah.
So that sort of punishes aces who are trying to out arc you. Like, oh, you're outside my firing arc. I get a reroll on my defense dice.
Yeah.
And 2 more hulls.
It seems pretty
And
solid.
it adds 2 hull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid. It's going to obviously cost dependent, but you definitely want this on the one that you have your tactical relay on.
Absolutely.
Yes, to keep it alive longer.
Yeah.
But man, that's going to be a complete shift on how you play against this list, because target priority is going to be, I need to kill the ship that's got the relay on first.
It would be a real shame if that ship could do a 5 straight, and if you weren't and wasn't pointing at you, got to reroll its defense die whilst it's like trying to run away. Oh, can I boost into a focus and then reroll my defenses? Catch me? Go on, chase me. I promise, if you chase me, there won't be 7 vulture droids behind you.
right behind you.
Right.
I promise.
Yeah, because the 1K is just brutal. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Okay, so I see where this faction is going.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? So I'm going to say this real quick. So what's interesting about this is the proper use of their design space.
Yes.
Faction.
Yes.
This is absolutely thematic and its proper use. This is why I love 2.0. If they'd done this in 1.0, they would have had to have gauged all of this stuff up to where the game was at, and they couldn't have done it. They would have had such a hard time doing it.
The only thing I don't like is gas clouds. I feel like they're all benefit and no punishment. And
no, I like them, Chris, if they stay faction only.
So I'm confident in saying that Sean doesn't like gas clouds either then.
No, I'm really not. I don't actually like gas clouds, but I just think it'd be something pretty cool to have, something unique to a limited, because I hate to say this, but this is going to be, in my opinion, a limited faction. There just isn't a great, gigantic spaceship,
Well, if everyone's limited in hyperspace, does it matter?
Well, no, I'm not talking. Yeah, I mean, I get that portion of it, but what I'm saying though is that with this, you're not going to have, wave 10. When they're at wave 10 with this game, when 3.0 is looming on the horizon.
So if they can get this faction to...
What's the pool of ships that you're going to get with it?
So they've announced 3 ships at a minute then. Vulture Droid, Bobolab, and Sith Infiltrator. If they do the Hyena Bomber, and then there's the Tri-Wing Droid Fighter, so that gets you to 5. If they get something for Jango to fly, so a brand new fire spray, not a beaten up Wave 1.
A solitary one where he's the only pilot.
I don't know, but if they can get to 7 ships per faction, and then what if I told you that they never re-released Skirg bombers and Azotuk gunships and all of this garbage, and all of the factions were at 7 ships, and then they just did an Old Republic faction from
Could Azotuk come with the whatever you call? I can't remember what it is. The rebel faction for this wave. What the hell they call it? Slipping my mind. Like where Anakin is and all those guys are going to be.
Oh, the Jedi Starfighters.
So you could put the Azotuk in that.
Thank you. The Republic. Why is it that you wouldn't see them? Because those were Wookiee fighters back during that time frame.
Yeah, that's what you know what I mean. If the Azotuk drops into that one to help them get to 7 ships, if you sit between like 6 and 10 ships a faction, but then you never get the bullshit I don't even know how many ships the Rebels had in 1.0 because it was Rebels and Resistance. You know what I mean? Extended will slowly die because people are just playing the stuff they can get on the shelf, and
Well, I get that.
I think you're right. I think that is where they're leading it to go. They have their ships out there. They're going to let them languish out there until 2.0 is in its heyday, wave 5, 6, 7, something like that. And then who's going to even want to play extended at that point when you have all these other factions to play?
Yeah. Right now extended, because the problem is most, when I see leagues or extended leagues, there's people having a hard time shifting over to 2.0, looks like, just because they don't have their base of knowledge.
Yeah. It's interesting because for me at our game store, they just play it like it's X-Wing. Like they're still in the 1.0 mindset of every ship in the game, every upgrade in the game is available for play.
Correct.
So whenever they see...
what you need to do is run the most obnoxious bullshit stuff at them and beat them to death with it until they go, stop, please stop. Do you want to play hyperspace?
Well, it's weird to me because people will come up and see Chad and I playing our hyperspace. So why aren't you running this? Because it's not hyperspace. Why aren't you running that? Because it's not hyperspace.
Well, and the rude awakening will come when they have to play those ships, when they have to play the restricted game.
So you just literally you just run the obnoxious bullshit at people and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and this actually isn't fun anymore. You know what is fun? X-Wing.
You don't want them to quit though, but. I get what you're
fuck
saying.
him, Sean. Fuck him. If they're not going to get on, if you're not going to get on board, just fuck off.
Hey, there you go.
There's a way I have fun, or you can just get out.
We have a couple of other quick articles I think it'd be super fast to go through. The first one, of course, is
what's still in the news.
This is the Wave 2 Deluxe Kit. The first thing I would do want to take note of is the first picture on the article is the silencer, and you can tell someone's got it on the Epic peg. I was really surprised. I had not seen what Kylo's base had looked like before. I'm really surprised he's still on a small base and not on a medium base. Because that ship is just way too damn...
There's a new sculpt. It's just not out yet, but there's a new sculpt for it.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, for the silencer. Yeah, it's because it's not to scale. They messed it up. So FFG were given the wrong dimensions. The ship is to the scale that they gave them. Wait a minute. I believe.
Are we in This Is Spinal Tap where they wrote 18 inches on the napkin for the frickin' triptych and not 18 feet?
Probably.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yep.
So I believe. Well, I would summarize that it's
QC.
This isn't FFG's problem. It's actually in all of the documentation and stuff. I think it's because it references the cockpit layout being the same as the Falcons, because that's what Kylo's used to fly in.
Right.
So the cockpit is the same size as the Falcons.
And that's
it's not the same size as the Falcons. It's the same layout as the Falcon. So the controls are in the same place. But it's still
it's not a 4 deep cockpit, or actually it would be 2, 4, 5, 6 deep cockpit.
If you look at the size of the window on the silencer, and then look at the front of a decimator.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Yeah. And they're supposed to be the same scale ship, and that's one person sat inside of a silencer compared to a bridge crew on a decimator. So
okay.
Yeah,
I won't beat that one. Just give me the 3D printable file, and I'll make the right scale to this game.
Yeah.
I mean that's.
I'm really curious to see if the new release one is smaller.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, it was on the banner when they originally put it out for the article where we have the 3 ships in the banner.
Mm-hmm.
It's a plainly different sculpt. It's like a lighter grey and actually was sized appropriately, so it looks long and sleek. It looks pretty. You'll like it. It'd be good.
I'm probably going to go out and buy one anyway, just because I buy everything that's got FFG and Star Wars on it.
Well, you need one if you want to abuse people with Kylo. So,
well, I have one.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, you only want one of the big fat ones. No, don't run 2 silencers yet. wait until you can get good sculpt.
Anyway, so get over the quick article. They, of course, released the stuff from the Deluxe Wave 2 kits. I know we had mentioned this off camera, and I think I'm going to mention it again here. FFG is basically just vomiting alt art cards, which is something I'm not used to from them. I'm used to seeing like the 1 or 2 here, but holy cow. So they've got these gigantic, the gigantic ones that come with the pre upgrades on them. So they've got Blackout
quick
with
build
Trick Shot,
cards.
which looks, what's that?
They're the quick builds.
Yeah. They're super cool.
Yeah.
Foreman Approach is on here, and then Greer Sonnell is going to be on there. These are the wider cards, really neat looking things. Of course, you have to go out and get new card size sleeves for these if you're going to do it. They are coming with Force tokens in the arcade coin style. And then, of course, you're going to get alt arts for the Epsilon Squad cadets. Really, really love the artwork on Heroic for the Resistance. Love the artwork on that. And then they repeat the Blue Squadron rookie. I think we've already seen that one. Scorch, yeah. And then there's a new acrylic seismic charge on there as well. And then you've got the whites as well, the hard plastic ones with the embossing on that. So there's all kinds of cool stuff on there for these Wave 1 kits. Oh, and then the Range 1, 2, and 3 rulers as well. Again, these are meant to go over multiple events. This isn't a one event kit.
Well, we've still running through the Wave 1 kits. We've got one more event to do, which will be next month's tournament, will be the Wave Weeder kit, which we'll give out all the prizes for. Then it runs a new cycle, and they're like different types of events. So your quick build event is supposed to be where you give out your quick build cards and stuff like that. So they're really good at it. And the reason why there's more of them is because these are in addition to your seasonal kits as well.
Right.
I actually like this. This is actually a pretty good way to build a community.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
there's
just
all
a
kinds
free
of cool
build.
toys to give out.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets you excited about the wave that it currently is, because it's all stuff from that wave as well. All the alt art cards go with that wave. So.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, okay. So interesting enough. So I jumped to the next one, which is the 2 OP articles that we saw, and I do see the correct size silencer on that article. So that's actually really kind of interesting. But they gave the Jump to Hyperspace one, which was the release of the dates and when everything's going to happen. Did I miss anything else in here other than?
We've got the announcement for Hyperspace, where it lists all of them worldwide. Well, a lot of them worldwide. I think there's still some to come in with dates. And I think they're starting to leak out some of the second wave of hyperspace locations as well, because there's 2 slots in the year for it, and this was only the initial wave.
Correct. And then the last one, of course, is an article in the World Championships, basically giving dates for that. I was trying to see who was this world champ that they're showing, because of course I see our buddy Richard Sue in the picture. As this is when Nand won, that looks like. Oh, and there's Mashari. Okay, now I'm good. I saw Mashari. I've got Richard. Now we're good. So they ended up on there. This is more just kind of giving dates. Really cool stuff on Legion. I think that's about it. Oh, and then Keyforge, of course, because they're promoting the crap out of Keyforge.
Yeah.
Keyforge is a good game.
So I'm hearing.
No, it is.
It's starting to gain some traction at our local game store too.
It's one of those games that kind of I could see it being a game that runs its course if they don't do it correctly. But my son and I, we have 6 total decks. So we got the 2 that came with the starter, and then we each have basically we're buying 2 decks at a time. We randomly choose one. Those are his. Those are mine. And it is one of those weird games where I spent $10 and literally got a piece of shit deck. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
because it's still fun to play, but it's absolutely that random factor. Then when my son opened his, he got a really, really, really good deck that I haven't seen a deck yet out of the other 4 decks that we've gotten since then that can even touch the deck yet. But that doesn't mean it's a high level. It just means the decks that we got.
Have you been using the chain rules, Sean, for it? So if that deck is.
Not yet, just because we don't play that deck all the time. We have enough decks to. And my son bought 2 more, so tomorrow when he comes over, we'll be playing new decks again. So
the way you're supposed to do it,
rules.
is if that deck has beat any of your other 5 decks 3 times in a row, it gains chains against that deck.
Right.
And when it's you and you say, okay, we'll try it with 3 chains on it this time. So you cripple him you rein him in for the opening hand and 2 extra turns after that, and stuff like that, where it's self-managed, but it's in the rules that you're supposed to self-manage it.
Right.
Well, and events with the QR codes on those, if there were such change in an official event, they would come. So I don't know how you would do that though, because you'd literally have to play someone.
It's the store's responsibility to make sure that's happening.
If you're running an OP event, there'll be OP software and it will all be tracked. That's what all the codes are for. It does it all automatically.
Yeah, because you're going to register your deck.
Yeah.
And they'll plug the deck into the OP software.
Yeah.
It's super weird for me to wrap my head around the idea of a completely random deck.
It's not completely random.
But it's not completely random. I mean, it's still...
But it's made by a computer.
Yeah. Well, no, I get that. I mean, I guess my thought process is I'm so used to card games that are like, okay, this is where you start, and then you can add cards in, take cards out.
You're so used to card games where you're allowed to make bad decisions.
Yes.
Right.
Where this one is, the bad decisions are made for you. So, I have a card in one of my decks that literally it blows up the board, but it gives me 3 chains. So am I going to use that card or am I going to toss it? Depends on the situation. They're just, I like the concept of the game that there's a self-handicapping part of the game, because in Magic, there's a, that buildable, I call it self-restriction. You build your play style, but if you really want to win games, if you want to be on the Pro Tour, you have to play the top decks.
Yes.
You just don't have a choice. You can't come up with some homebrew thinking you're going to beat everything. It doesn't work. I've never played on the Pro Tour, but I've done that many times where I thought, ooh, this is going to beat the whole damn meta, and then you end up 0-6. The thing about this is that, there's good and bad with a game like this. Kris will definitely, from a retail standpoint, your deck will get banned at some point in time if it's that good. It's just the way the game is designed. You're going to get chained down, and if you still, if you're still caught up and still being able to beat them, you'll just be banned, and that'll be the end of that deck. I like that, because you think of how many Magic games you've played against top tier decks that are in your mind that are just so OP. That the only way you're reaching for the stars is you're spending $500 on that deck. Well, I just spent $9, $10 on a deck that once it's banned, and I don't know if you can send those in and get a new deck or how that works.
I don't think it'll get banned. I think the chains work.
Yes.
It does. How good does your deck have to be that you can survive playing the first 5 turns with only 2 cards or whatever it is?
Correct.
Your hand limit is 2 for the first 5 turns. The second 5 turns, your hand limit is 3. But turn 10 to 15, it's 4.
There's only so many cards in that deck. There's 40 some cards.
Yeah, your opponent will have cycled their deck twice before you've had your full hand size.
Right, exactly.
And your deck might be awesome, but is it that awesome that you can get all of your combos out when you don't have your cards in your hand?
Right. It just depends what what that randomness is pretty cool. The chaining is cool. I like it. I like it as a game.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick up a deck or 2 and give it a shot and see what it's like.
Buy the starter set. It's good value.
That sounds like a good idea.
You get $20 worth of decks in it right off the bat. So, and then you get the starter decks and all the tokens and everything.
And then there's 2 decks in there that are completely random, correct?
Yeah.
You get 2 real decks and the 2 starter decks. The starter decks are designed to work against each other, because obviously your 2 random decks might be the best deck in the world ever and the worst deck in the world ever.
Right.
And that would be a really shit way to learn the game.
It would be.
Yeah, very frustrating.
So if you're wanting to learn the game, buy a starter. If you want to jump in, you don't need to buy one. But if you want to learn it, buy a starter.
I'm just looking at the announced dates for the hyperspace events, and I only have 2 that are even within reasonable driving distance for me. One in Glen Burnie, which will have the Nova Squadron guys down, which means it's going to be super competitive, and then one out towards Columbus, which is a little disappointing that my local bigger game store, Mr. Nice Guys, did not get one this round, but hopefully they'll be announced for the second round.
Come to Calgary May 4th. Be fun.
I know. It'd be a great date. Anyway, so I think that's going to do it for our extended news segment. We are going to take a break here and go ahead and move on to the main topic, which is going to be Sean playing some catch up with some point costs and a little bit of firing arc, and that's going to be coming up right after this.
Almost there.
All right, so episode 16 turned out to be a heck of a show, a little bit long, and we wanted to kind of make sure we get it into some digestible bites. We're going to break it into 2 pieces. So this is going to be the end of part 1. If you want to check out the second half, which is going to, I believe, include a fantastic conversation on the rules of firing arcs, that will be in part 2. So go ahead and check out the 2-parter. This is hopefully this isn't a trend for us because we really got long on the tooth on that one. So check out the second half of this show in part 2. And so as always, guys, thank you for joining us. Until then, fly casual. Thank you once again for joining the Lack of Focus X-Wing podcast. Check out Dice Hate Productions for all of the latest episodes, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again next episode.